Hello everyone, welcome to Arka Science, and today in this video I will be discussing the transit of Mercury into the sign of Taurus. As of now, Mercury is in the sign of Aries getting conjunct with Sun and Rahu, but on 25th of April, Mercury will change the sign and it will enter the sign of Taurus. But before continuing this video, let me talk about some important points regarding the transits, because in my last 2 or 3 videos when I said uploaded it to YouTube, I got some mails, messages and comments related to from where to see the transits, from the moon or from the ascendant, or how to check the fructification of the transits, because the same transit is happening for millions and millions of people. So how to check that which results is for whom? First of all, you have to check that the transit planet which you are checking in the video from your ascendant, you have to check that where that planet is posited in your chart, which dasas are you running. Specifically, suppose if you are talking about Mercury transit in Taurus, like I will be discussing in this video, Mercury transit to Taurus. Suppose if any time if you are running through Mahadasa of Mercury, Antardasa of Mercury or Pratyantar Dasa of Mercury, then this transit is going to give you more results, or you will be able to feel the results of this particular transit, because wheresoever Mercury is placed in your chart, since you are running through the dasa of Mercury, so the houses related to Mercury and the place where Mercury is sitting, that will be very much activated, and the position from where your Mercury is sitting, or from your ascendant or from your moon, wheresoever this transit is happening, this is going to definitely give you a lot of results. So you will see any results which is promised in your horoscope related to Mercury or related to any planet which is in transit. If that dasa is going on and that planet is transiting, then you are definitely going to get the results of that particular transit or that particular planet. Now, someone asked me that should I check it from the moon or should I check it from the ascendant? The most important part here is that moon is our mind, moon is our emotions, how we can feel it, how we feel the energies, how we react to something, what our thought processes are, how we receive anything. Moon is a very receptive planet basically. So any transit happens, you definitely have to check it from your moon sign, definitely. Now regarding your ascendant, because ascendant is our body, our physical body, our personality. Anything happens in the real life, in the world, how we express ourselves, how our personality feels, look like in front of the world, that is the ascendant, that is the physical manifestation. That is the reason you have to must check it from your ascendant, because that will decide how the results are going to impact you physically in this real world. Now one more question came, that what if my moon is stronger or my ascendant is stronger? No matter regarding that, because when you are talking about transits are basically fructification of the results which are promised in your horoscope. Now what kind of results? That results can be related to any planet, any house, any sign. If that dasa is running and certain that particular planet is transiting through certain houses or certain particular sign from your moon or from your ascendant, definitely you are going to get the results, no matter your moon is stronger or no matter your ascendant is stronger. When we talk about moon is stronger or ascendant is stronger, that is when we check the horoscope, but when we talk about transits, definitely it has to be first taken from the ascendant and secondly from the moon sign. Definitely you must check it. There should not be any confusion regarding that should I check it from here or there. Okay, I hope this should have cleared the confusion for many of the viewers. Now let us talk about this particular transit of Mercury into the sign of Taurus. As soon as Mercury enters the sign of Taurus, you will see that the motion of Mercury is going to get slow and slower as the days goes by. By the time 10th of May arrives, Mercury will turn retrograde. That means on 10th of May, Mercury turns retrograde in the sign of Taurus. Now the sign Taurus is an earthy sign, and Mercury also rules over earth element. Prithvi Tattva. Mercury rules over Prithvi Tattva, that is the earth element, and Taurus is also a sign related to earth element, earthy sign. Okay, that means the element wise this sign has got that groundedness, that stableness, that stable energy which is very much liked by Mercury. So in that way you can understand that Mercury is well established in the sign of Taurus because it is also ruled by its friend Venus. But here Mercury is going to get retrograde, so the results which you might feel that since Mercury is going to enter the sign of Taurus, it's a friendly sign, so the results will be very good, results will be in favor of me, etc., etc. It may not be as such which it may look like. Okay, because since it is going to get retrograde in the sign of Taurus itself, and most important part, it is not changing the sign. It is not changing the sign. In fact, it will be in retrograde motion within the sign of Taurus only. On 3rd of June, it is turning direct. Now you can understand the span. 25th of April, it has entered the sign of Taurus. 10th of May, turned retrograde. 3rd of June, turning direct. And it will traverse the whole of the sign of Taurus again. On 3rd of July, it will leave Taurus and enter the sign of Gemini, its own sign, Gemini. Okay, so basically it's a transit of around 68 days. It's a huge transit, I will say. Many times you might have seen that Mercury is getting retrograde, and in its retrograde motion it is coming back from one sign to another, but here now it is within that sign only, and it's a transit of more than 2 months in the sign of Taurus. So anytime if you are going through the dasa of Mercury, antar dasa of Mercury or pratyantar dasa of Mercury, then this particular transit is going to impact you more. Or any promise related to Mercury, given that your dasa is going on of Mercury is going on, any promises in the horoscope is there, then this particular transit is going to be very vital. You can see that yes, the results are getting fructified. Another thing, if you have Mercury retrograde in your chart, or if you have Mercury placed in Taurus in your chart, or if you have Mercury placed in Scorpio, because from Scorpio Mercury will have its 7th aspect on the sign of Taurus in your horoscope, or suppose Mercury is placed in your ascendant or with moon, 7th from ascendant or 7th from moon. This is how we check the transits. This is how we check that whether this transit is going to give me full results or not. Okay, these are the parameters. You definitely, because when we talk about transits, we are talking about the results, but how to check it from your horoscope? These are the different ways, different parameters. So if you have this kind of placements in your horoscope, then this transit is going to give you more impact. Okay, now since this particular sign of Taurus is a friendly sign for Mercury, and Mercury over here is well established, although it will get retrograde. So that means certain things has to be redone related to your intellect, related to your learning ability, your reasoning power, your intellectual abilities, your communicative skills regarding what you speak about. Or it may also happen that you may get connected with a friend with whom you didn't talk or with whom you didn't communicate from long time because of this retrograde motion, because Taurus is also the natural second house of the Kalapurusha Kundali, the natural zodiac of, that is the second house of speech, family. So it may also happen that you might be very much concerned regarding your wealth or finance or your fructification of your hard work, because when you talk about the natural zodiac, Mercury forms the 3rd lord and the 6th lord. Okay, so by this way we are going to check this particular transit, and I will be discussing this transit for all the 12 zodiac signs. And definitely it is my request to all of you, please check it from the ascendant signs and from the moon signs both. since I will be talking about all the 12 ascendant signs. Suppose your ascendant sign is different and moon sign is different, choose the zodiac sign and check it from the result, because you will see that the results from your ascendant will be physically manifested in front of you, and the results related to the moon sign will be what will be felt by you. Okay, so very important and very critical to understand that we must check it from both the sides. There should not be any confusion that whether my moon sign is strong or ascendant sign is strong, no matter. When we are talking about the fructification of results, promises of the horoscope, then definitely moon sign and lagna, that is the ascendant. Ascendant is the first house. Okay, has to be given the first priority while checking the transits, that is the ascendant first and then the moon sign. Definitely both has to be checked, because both related to you. You cannot ignore the fact that I am checking from the moon sign or I should I check it from the ascendant sign. There should not be any confusion regarding that. Okay, and anytime if you want a consultation from me regarding the any kind of transits or any kind of placements of planets in your chart, that what kind of results are you expecting, then you can definitely check the links in the description section. You can directly mail me through my email ID and get one-to-one consultation with me. And anytime if you are new to this channel, then tap onto the subscribe button, click onto the notification bell icon, so that anytime I make a new video and get uploaded into the YouTube, then you may get notified about it instantly and you may able to watch it. Okay, so now I will be discussing regarding all the 12 ascendant signs and regarding this transit of Mercury into the sign of Taurus. For the Aries ascendant people, Mercury will be transiting in the sign of Taurus in your second house. Mercury is your third and sixth lord. That means Mercury rules over your courage, your efforts, your communication ability, your hard work, your competitive spirit. How can you intellectually involve yourself in any kind of work which relates to competition, hard work, persistency? Okay, now this Mercury is going to transit in your second house and also it will be retrograde. So that means as of now you have to keep doing your hard work, keep doing your efforts. As of now, if you are thinking that, if you are expecting that my hard work will lead to some result, my efforts will going to give me some results, it will take some time. As of now you have to keep doing your work, you have to be very consistent with your finances, with your investment abilities, and regarding your communication and speech also. Since Mercury will be retrograde in your second house, be very careful regarding any kind of documentation, financial work, or anything related to wealth, writing, reading. Be very careful regarding that. Okay, now you have to be also be very careful regarding your speech. Means you say something and later on you may feel that I shouldn't have said like that. Okay, because don't forget, for the initial few days Mercury will also have the aspect of Mars from the sign of Aquarius. Mars is at present transiting in the sign of Aquarius, which is the Lagna lord, and it is aspecting the second house Taurus, where Mercury will be transiting. So you have to be very careful regarding that. Since Mercury will directly influence your second house and eighth house, so be it your relationship between your family members or the in-laws, everything has to be maintained very carefully. Mercury is your sixth lord, so be very careful how you are dealing with your marital life, your relationships. Not only that, your joint assets and fixed assets, everything has to be maintained very carefully during this time. Don't take any drastic decision regarding your wealth or investments as of now, because Mercury will be retrograde in your second house. Okay, so that's it for the Aries ascendant people. For the Taurus ascendant people, Mercury will be transiting in your first house in the ascendant itself, and Mercury is your second and fifth lord. Second and fifth lord getting transited in the first house. First of all, it is creating two-way Dhan Yoga and one-way Raj Yoga. So it's a very welcome transit for you. So it is a transit which will bring many ways of name, fame, reputation, and many ways of creating wealth, incoming of wealth. generation of wealth can be there during this particular transit of 68 days through the sign of Taurus for the Taurus ascendant people. Now since Mercury is going to get retrograde, so any kind of investment plans or anything related to wealth, first of all you need to do some intellectual homework. Learn the things, know the things, and then apply your brain, then apply the things that yes, what I need to do. Okay, all of a sudden don't jump into it, because fifth house also deals with speculative business, speculative gains, or anything related to speculation. Okay, so if you are associated with any kind of business related to that, then new opportunities will come in front of you, or any work which you ignored backwards related to wealth, those kind of things will come in front of you, where you would be required to solve the problem. But since Mercury will be retrograde, so learn it, know it, and then apply your intellect, then apply your decision making power. Okay, this is the most important thing, has to be understood. Secondly, since Mercury is your second lord transiting through the first house, so you have to be also very careful regarding your speech, because Mercury will be retrograde. Any matter related to your family will all of a sudden pop up in your life, and you would be required to solve the problem or take the responsibility regarding that. Any matter regarding your past, any relationship or any romantic affair or any old relationship can all of a sudden come in front of you, because Mercury is your fifth lord. Now whether to accept it or whether to reject it, it will be depending upon your wise decision, because since Mercury will be retrograde, so all of a sudden the things will come in front of you, but you have to act very wisely. Mercury is also fifth lord, so a new kind of relationship can also come in front of you. Some kind of love affair or romantic relationship can come in front of you. Be very careful, because Mercury will be retrograde, so it may look too good to be true. Okay, so you have to be very careful regarding that. Don't be very manipulative during this time, because Mercury will directly look into your 7th house. So be very straightforward, learn new things. This is a very good time to learn new things. Okay, and since fifth lord transiting through the first house, learn new things, and that will give you a much more better results. For the Gemini ascendant people, Mercury will be transiting in the sign of Taurus in the 12th house. Mercury is your first lord and your fourth lord for the Gemini people. So first of all, here the most important part I will say you, that be very careful regarding your health. Take the most care of your health. Mercury being the significator of finance, speech, communication, intelligence, you have to be very careful regarding any kind of unexpected expenditures or wasteful expenditures. Try not to waste your money. In fact, try to save your wealth, save your money, because expenditures will be there. So you have to choose that should I do it or not. Secondly, you have to take care of your health, because Mercury will be retrograde in the 12th house. So certain things related to health will pop up. 12th house is also the house of loss, so don't forget that. You have to be very careful regarding your health also. Secondly, Mercury being the lord of your 4th house, transiting through the 12th house and being retrograde, this is also a transit which means it shows some kind of relocation from the place where you are living. It may also show that if you are planning to move from one place to another or go to some faraway lands, then this transit will be a good one for you, that you can go from one place to another. But since Mercury will be retrograde, so when you are moving from one place to another, it may happen that you have to do the same process more than once. So before taking the decision, be very careful that yes, have you taken the correct decision, yes or no. Secondly, Mercury is also the significator of communication and speech. During this transit, what you are saying, what you are speaking about, or to whom you are communicating has to be taken into consideration very nicely and very cautiously. If not, then try to explain the things one by one, part by part, rather than expecting that the person will understand. No, the person will not understand. You have to explain them. specifically when Mercury is transiting through your 12th house. Another thing, Mercury is directly looking into your 6th house, transiting through the 12th house. This is not a good time of taking loans or debts. Okay, so be very careful regarding that. Yes, you can be charitable. This transit can also be proved to be good for charities. You can do some charity work that will give you good results. That's it for the Gemini ascendant people. For the Cancer ascendant people, Mercury is going to transit in your 11th house. Mercury is your 12th lord and Mercury is also your 3rd lord for the Cancer ascendant people. Now 12th lord transiting through the 11th house, it means gains coming from far away lands. So suppose if you are working for any kind of multinational company, or suppose you are planning that yes, I can go to some faraway lands for work, for job, or if you are having any foreign clients, then this particular transit is going to give you more results, more good results, because it will also be retrograde in the 11th house. So any kind of income or incoming of wealth which was not coming up in your life, that path may get cleared and you may get success due to this retrogression of Mercury in the 11th house. Being the significator of speech and communication and lord of the 3rd house, transiting through the 11th house, through your speech, through your communication, if suppose you are associated with any kind of job which relates to communication, where you need to talk, where you need to use your hands, that kind of work or giving efforts in that kind of work can give you lots and lots of gains with the virtue of this particular transit. But since it is the 3rd lord, be very careful regarding your communication, because you say something and Mercury becomes retrograde, then you might feel that yes, I shouldn't have said that kind of thing. Okay, so be very careful regarding that also. So that means when you are working with your network circle, you are working with your group or team members, or when you are communicating with any kind of organization of very higher position or big organizations, then be very careful regarding what you are communicating about. Okay, so make your homework done very nicely, because don't forget Mercury is looking into your 5th house, so you can learn new things, correct, and then you can use it and get more results out of it. Okay, so that's it for the Cancer ascendant people. For the Leo ascendant people, Mercury will be transiting in your 10th house. Mercury is your 11th lord, Mercury is your 2nd lord. So that means Mercury is a very important planet for you. Mercury rules the houses of wealth for you, incoming of wealth and saving of wealth, storage of wealth, and that Mercury is transiting through the 10th house. So that means through your work, through your hard work, your management skills, your intelligence, which you can use at your workplace, you can have gains, you can have wealth through that. So since it is the 2nd lord transiting through the 10th house, so suppose if you are working with any kind of work sector which relates to finance, accounts, or suppose relates to money, then this particular transit is going to give you very good results. But since Mercury is going to retrograde, so be very careful regarding any kind of documentary works which you are signing or which you are writing or which you are going to present, like suppose any kind of projects or presentation which you have got to be completed during this particular tenure or this particular time of this transit. Be very careful that you are doing the work absolutely correct. There should not be any kind of mistake, otherwise due to the virtue of retrogression you may have to redo the work. Okay, when you are talking regarding with any kind of work with your management, it will be a very good time to talk with your management, but make sure that are you talking before the retrogression or after the retrogression, because during the retrogression part, when you are talking with your management or your superiors regarding any kind of matter regarding your work, that time do the appropriate judgments and then you can talk about it, otherwise the things may go ups and downs. Okay, so that's it for the Leo ascendant people. For the Virgo ascendant people, this transit is going to happen in your 9th house, that is Mercury is going to transit in the sign of Taurus in your 9th house, and Mercury rules your 10th house and your 1st house. That means Mercury is your Lagna lord, going to transit in the 9th house of fortune. So it's a very good transit, I will say. and being the 10th lord transiting through the 9th house, so that means your dharma and karma getting interacted with each other. So that means during this particular time you will be doing all your work with full of righteousness. So since Mercury is going to get retrograde, so it has deep meaning for it. It also means that maybe something related to your work needs more rectification, needs more clarification, so you have to learn new things. It may also happen that any work which requires more knowledge, so you can learn new things and work it in your, apply it in your profession. This is also a time that you may have some relocation regarding your work, or you are thinking that should I change my job or not, or should I go to take the transfer or not, should I move from one place to another for my job or not. So during this particular time period you can do that. Since Mercury is retrograde, so it may happen that it may take you some time to get the results done, to get the results rectified, to get the work done. Okay, it may happen like that. This particular transit of Mercury as the Lagna Lord in the 9th house also signifies that any work related to your culture, related to your religious rituals or customs, or your dharma, or your higher learning, which you might have ignored in the past few months or past few years, those particular things can suddenly re-erupt in your life, where you need to take more care of those things. You may relearn the things which you should have learned before, but you might have ignored those kind of things, and now the things are coming in front of you. So this is also a time to rebuild the communication and relationship between you and your father, you and your guru. You may also get connected to your father and guru more nicely by the virtue of this particular transit, because this retrogression will help you to get connected, because the things which you have not done, those things you will be able to do it because of this virtue of this retrogression and this transit of Mercury through the sign of Taurus in the 9th house for 68 days. So it's a long period. Okay, so it can also happen that you may get chance to visit some religious places, some long distance travels can be there. Okay, so since it will be retrograde, so yes, it will be like you think of something and it happens something else, but ultimately the results will be there, because Mercury will also become direct, so results will be there. Okay, results will be ultimately in favor of you, and if you make the most use of this particular transit, then this is a transit which is giving you Raj Yoga and Dhan Yoga both. Okay, so it is also giving you name, fame, and also intelligence, learning new things, and wealth. Okay, so it's a good transit for the Virgo ascendant people. For the Libra ascendant people, Mercury is going to transit in the sign of Taurus in the 8th house. Mercury is your 9th lord and Mercury is your 12th lord. Being the 12th lord transiting through the 8th house, 9th places away from it, so it can also happen, it can mean simply that this is a time to learn new things regarding spirituality or occult sciences. If you are interested to devote your path to spirituality, spiritual growth, then this particular transit is going to be a landmark for you, because it is not a transit of 1 or 2 days, it is a transit of 68 days. So definitely you are going to get most of these results for this particular transit, provided that you are thinking of spiritual growth, spiritual life, or learning new things related to spirituality or occult science. Then this particular transit is going to give you the best of the best results. But being the 9th lord transiting through the 8th house, that also it will turn retrograde, Mercury in the sign of Taurus. This transit has to be taken very carefully, because during that particular period of time you may feel that my luck and fortune is not supporting me, because 8th house is also the house of ups and downs, transformation, sudden events, anything which is not known, anything which is secret, anything which is hidden, dark, unknown. So it may also happen that during this particular transit you may feel that you can be more spiritual rather than religious. So try to adhere to dharma, try to adhere to righteousness, because 8th house is 12th house away from dharma, that is 9th house. Try to do anything which is related to goodness, try to do anything related to dharma, because this particular transit, and Mercury is also going to get retrograde. So anything you do, anything you say, or anything how you behave or react to, if not done with respect to righteousness or dharma, that can relate to some kind of problem, because 9th house is also the house of law, don't forget, and it is 12th house from 9th house. So that means you have to be very careful regarding your actions, regarding what you say, what you speak, how you deal with your in-laws, how do you deal with your speech, and any matter related to married life. Okay, be very careful regarding that. So by this way you have to be very careful for the Libra ascendant people. For the Scorpio ascendant people, Mercury is going to transit in your 7th house. Mercury is your 8th lord, Mercury is your 11th lord. Since it is your 8th lord transiting through the 7th house, so this is a very important time that you take care regarding your relationships. Suppose if you are going through any kind of ups and downs in your relationship, then this particular transit is going to give you very difficult time, because 8th lord transiting through the 7th house, and that is also Mercury. So it may happen that unnecessary disputes or unnecessary arguments can be there. So before judging the things, you have to also understand that are you taking the decisions, or you are taking the proper you are managing the things properly or not. Before reacting, try to understand that what is the clear picture, because it is a matter of time that we say something or we react about something, but before saying or reacting, we have to understand what is the true picture, what is the truth behind that, then only you should judge it. Otherwise that can lead to some kind of problem, arguments, unnecessary disputes, because it is the 8th lord. It brings transformation, it brings ups and downs. So suppose if anything is not correct in your relationship, then this particular transit will be very difficult to handle, because Mercury will be retrograde. So it may also happen that you say something and later on you repent that I shouldn't have reacted in this way. Okay, so be very careful regarding that. In another way, Mercury is also 11th lord transiting through the 7th house. That means if you are thinking to have a new relationship in your life, so a new kind of relationship all of a sudden can pop up in your life. Now it is up to your judgment, up to your wise thinking, that should I accept it, yes or no, because Mercury will be retrograde, don't forget about that. And 7th house is the house of relationship, 11th house is the house of multiplicity. Okay, so you have to also be very careful that if suppose you are in a relationship, then you have to check, you have to make sure that am I doing correct, yes or no, in taking this step. Okay, so that's it for the Scorpio ascendant people. For the Sagittarius ascendant people, Mercury will be retrograde in the 6th house, in the sign of Taurus, and Mercury is your 7th lord and Mercury is your 10th lord. Being the 7th lord transiting through the 6th house, and that also it will become retrograde. So this is a time where you need to take care regarding your relationship. Be very careful regarding how you are communicating with your spouse. You have to take care regarding the health of the spouse. You have to also take care regarding the health of the relationship, marriage, your business partnerships. Okay, looking into the fact, if any time you are going through the dasa of Mercury, then this particular transit is going to impact you more. Okay, suppose Mercury happens to be actually Mercury is your 10th lord basically, and transiting through the 6th house, so it may also happen that new work pressure can come in front of you. You may feel that the work is not ending, I am doing my hard work, again the new kind of responsibility is coming. So you may feel that again and again I am doing the same kind of work. Make sure that you don't get into any kind of unnecessary disputes or arguments with your co-workers, because during this particular transit there is a chance that people may get jealous of you, or they may try to plot some kind of unnecessary politics, okay, during this particular transit. So be very careful regarding that. You don't get along in any kind of unnecessary arguments. Stay away from those, okay. That will give you much more better results. For the Capricorn ascendant people, this transit of Mercury is going to happen in your 5th house. Mercury happens to be your 6th lord and 9th lord. 6th lord transiting in the 5th house. So first of all, it is 12th from itself, so it is good for your health. It will be retrograde, so that means good for your health. And again at the same time, you may find new ways which you follow. If you follow, then that can give you better results regarding your health and health care. 9th lord transiting through the 5th house, definitely it is going to increase your creative skill set through your higher learning, higher education. All of a sudden you may like some different kind of language or different kind of skills or any kind of topic or subject. All of a sudden you may feel that yes, I can start this, or I can learn about this, I can talk about this, I can improve my skill set regarding this, because Mercury will be retrograde. So even if it seems to be difficult, you will find a way to deal with it. Since Mercury is 6th lord transiting through the 5th house, here one thing, any matter regarding your education, any matter regarding your children or progeny can also come up all of a sudden in front of you, which you need to take proper responsibility of, okay. All of a sudden romantic affair or love affair can pop up in front of you, but since Mercury will be retrograde, be careful whether to accept it or not. It will be your wise judgment that should you take it or not. That will depend upon your dasa and your placements of planet in the horoscope also, okay. So that's it for the Capricorn ascendant people. For the Aquarius ascendant people, Mercury will be transiting in your 4th house. Mercury happens to be your 5th lord. Mercury happens to be your 8th lord also. Now 5th lord coming into the 4th house, it is a very good Raj Yoga. First of all, Mercury happens to be your 5th lord transiting through the 4th house, so it is giving you name, fame, reputation. This is the first thing. Most important thing is that it is also increasing your intelligence. It is a very good time to learn new thing. Spend more time at your home, means you will be happy to spend more time at your home, at your homely place, or you will involve more in setting up the fact that what can be done which can increase your happiness, your peace of mind. This can also improve your relationship between you and your mother, okay. This Mercury will directly aspect your 10th house, so good for your career and profession also, okay. Now since Mercury will be retrograde, so yes, any responsibility regarding your home can also come up in front of you. You have to be also be very careful regarding the health of your children, because Mercury happens to be your 5th lord transiting through the 4th house, okay. It means through the house of happiness, so you have to be very careful regarding the health of your progeny, your children. Since Mercury happens to be your 8th lord transiting through the 4th house, it can also signify that any matter related to the health of your mother has to be given proper care, proper attention. So it's a very important time where you can spend more time with your mother or at your home. Since 4th house is also the house of learning and 8th house is the house of occult and spirituality, and 4th house and 8th house both forms a part of moksha trikon, that means you can have more time to learn spiritual ways of living, occult and spiritual life. By this way you can get better and better results for the transit of Mercury in the sign of Taurus in your 4th house. Since ascendant people, Mercury will be transiting in your 3rd house. Mercury happens to be your 4th lord and your 7th lord. Now, since being the 4th lord transiting through the 3rd house, so it is a time if you are thinking to change your residence or move to some other place or any kind of relocation or short travels, then this particular transit can be fruitful for you. Since it is going to get retrograde, so it may happen that you may get the results with some delay. Okay, there can be some delay and then the work will be done. Okay, Mercury transit in the 3rd house, it will improve your communicative skills, it will improve your social arena, your social interaction. But since it will be retrograde, so what you say, how you communicate, with whom you are communicating, that thing has to be taken care of. Okay, Mercury is your 7th lord transiting through the 3rd house, so that means anything related to partnership which requires communication, which requires any kind of documentation or writing or reading regarding your business partnerships has to be done very carefully during this particular time. There can be a possibility that due to your business work or business deals, you need to have any kind of short travels. That can be a possibility. Since Mercury will be retrograde, so when you are doing any kind of deals or something like that, be very careful that whether you have checked each and everything line by line or word by word, then only you can go for any kind of deals during this particular time. Mercury happens to be your 7th lord, that means it is the spouse and marital relationship also. That means how you communicate with your spouse, how you deal about any kind of matter with your marriage or relationship, that has also to be taken very carefully. Yes, communications will improve since it is transiting through the 3rd house, but it will be also retrograde. So that means anything which you might have ignored in the past, that kind of matters can suddenly come in front of you. Okay, and you have to deal with it very intellectually with your reasoning power and your intelligence. Okay, so that's it for the Pisces ascendant people. So this was for all the 12 ascendant signs, and hope you have liked this video. If you have liked this video, then press the like button and share to your near and dear ones. And anytime if you want a consultation from me, check the links in the description section. You can directly mail to me from my email ID, and you can also connect to me through my Facebook and Instagram accounts. Your comments are always welcome to me. I would love to hear from you through your opinions and queries in my comment box. And if you are new to this channel, tap onto the subscribe button, click onto the notification bell icon, so that every time I make a new video you get notified instantly. So till then, when I come back with some another interesting video, I am signing off for today. Thanking you. Bye bye.